Your photography business feels like it's one sticky note away from complete chaos. Today I've got you covered, even if you're not all that tech savvy. Managing clients as a photographer doesn't have to feel overwhelming, but it will if you don't have even just a basic system in place. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact ClickUp workflow that I've created, and it tracks every lead, booking, invoice, gallery, simply and easily. By the end, you'll have a system that you can duplicate in your own business. And you can just download my ClickUp template for free so you'll be ready to go by the end of the day. Now, I'm no ClickUp mastermind by any stretch of the imagination, but being an administrator for most of my professional life, I've come in contact with more databases than you can shake a stick at. One thing I've learned is the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. The simpler it is, the more likely that you're going to try it and adopt it. And that's what I really want for you guys, just an entry point, a gateway drug, if you will, into the incredible world of good organization and file management. And after that crazy introduction, let's jump in. Imagine for a minute a house that's got lots of rooms. You have a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom, of course, and then you have one room for all your photography work, one room that's a YouTube studio, and one room that's like for all of your craft stuff, and everything that's in there is perfectly organized and labeled. It's amazing. And everything's so organized that at any point in time you can go in and access everything and anything that you need. But for right now, I just want you to walk into your photography room. In this room, you've got a desk and like a shelf with all your photography gear on it, but what I want you to focus on is the 5 filing cabinets that are sitting along the wall. And each of those is for a different subsection of your photography. So you have one that's for wedding clients, one that's for branding clients, one that's for portrait clients, one that's for event clients, and one that's there just for your private photography projects, for example. Now, of course, your filing cabinet can have as many drawers as you want, but just for this exercise, let's pretend there's 4 drawers in each one. So for the filing cabinet for your wedding clients, the top drawer is going to be labeled leads. The second drawer is going to be named onboarding. And in there is going to be all the people that have they've already confirmed that they want to work with you, but maybe you're just waiting for contracts or things like that to get organized. Drawer number 3 is going to be called in process. So this might be like the week of the wedding, or you're still doing a gallery for them. Basically, you're still in the process of doing everything at that point in time. And drawer number 4 is called completed. And obviously it is what it is. Once you've finished with a client and you want to archive that project, you still want to keep everything, so you pop it in the completed drawer. Now, inside each drawer, you have one of these. And if you've ever worked in an office, it's a drop-down file, right? And it sits inside your filing cabinet. So when you've got a lead, you create one of these and you write their name on the top of it, and then you put in any contact details or anything that you have for them, or a copy of the email they sent you or whatever, and you can just drop that into your top file drawer. And then obviously, once they become a client, then you want to be putting their contracts in there. So you're going to move that down to the next drawer. And then when it's going to be like the week thereof, you're going to pop it into the next drawer. And then when it's ready to be archived, you pop it in the completed drawer. In the meantime, this little folder gets filled with everything from contracts to contact details. Basically everything that you need to know about this client is going to be in this one folder that's just labeled for them. So in that house, there's a room. Inside that room is a filing cabinet. Inside that filing cabinet are drop-down files. And inside each drop-down file will be obviously your contracts and contact details and everything you need to know. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in ClickUp. So let's start first of all with the rooms in your house. Okay, so here you can see my rooms. They are called spaces inside of ClickUp. So I have a space for my personal stuff, so life, kids, etc., etc. I have one for YouTube and podcast. Now, just as a quick aside, I've stuck them together here because you can only have, on the free plan, you can have up to 5 spaces. So YouTube and podcasts go well for me together, photography clients and website go well for me together, and then tier 3 just has a couple of extra projects that I'm working in. So I've kind of grouped a couple of things together because I can at the moment. At some point I will upgrade to the paid plan. It's only like $7 a month, so it's not too horrendous. But for now, I have mine sort of stuck together. So as you can see, I have a room for photography clients and website, and like I said, a room for a few extra bits and pieces. And then if you want to create a new room, you just come down here to create space and click on that, and then you can call it anything you want. You can add a description if you want to, or whatever you want to do, and then you just go continue. I normally put down a starter. Most of these things are probably going to be a little bit higher level. For the basics, all you're going to need is the starter one. So you just click on create space. All of a sudden, I have just made myself an entirely new room to do whatever I want to in it. So just remember that you can create whatever rooms you want to put whatever you want to into. So I'm going to go into my photography room, my photography office. Now inside here, I currently have 3 filing cabinets. Okay, I have clients, wedding, clients, branding, and website. So while I refer to them as filing cabinets and ClickUp, they're known as lists. So if you want to make a new list, you can simply come up here where the little plus sign is and you click on it and you can create a new list if you want to. So if I go like this, then all of a sudden I've just created a whole new filing cabinet, and I could do this for photography wildlings, for example, because I like to do wildling shoots for kids and stuff. So I can go create, and now all of a sudden I have a whole new list here. And the beauty of this is that to customize it, see, like here I've got a little blue arrow. For my branding, I think the little B is for Bevo, I can't remember, but that's what I put there. And then clients, I put some little people. You can come in and customize it any which way you want to. Go into the 3 little dots, because the 3 little dots always mean settings of some description. And then you just pop down to color and icon, and maybe I will make this one bright red if I want to. And I might choose a baby carriage. Why not? And then all of a sudden, I just click out and ta-da, it's done. I now have my own little icon. And that might sound really silly, but when you're trying to see your way through if there's lots there, that might be really useful to you. So it's just a little trick. Anyway, for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this filing cabinet, which is my wedding clients filing cabinet. Now currently in my filing cabinet, it looks like I've only got 5 drawers. General to do, template, before the wedding, after the wedding, and final offboarding. But actually I've got a couple that just aren't in use at the moment. So let me show you those ones as well. Like I said before, if you click on the 3 little dots next to any of them, you start to be able to see some options. So if I click in here, I can edit my statuses, because when you come in, your filing cabinet drawers will already have names on them. So basically what you're going to do is you're just going to come in and rub them out and put your own ones on. So we just pop over to edit statuses. So I ended up having general to do, a template, which is what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, leads, onboarding, before the wedding week, after the wedding, and final offboarding. So for me, and the completed one. Now, if you wanted to get more in depth with that, you could absolutely add another status in here. So I might add another status, make it orange, and I might call this one archived. And click on save. Now I can click on the dots again and drag that down here, and I can make even another one after the completed. So if I want to complete it but go, I still might want to follow them up in 6 months or something, versus completely archived, completely done, nothing left to do. So it's really that easy. And like I said, you can just grab them and move them any way you want to. And then if you don't like where it is, you just move it back. So I can leave that one there. I can apply changes. I can save it as a template if I want to. But I'm just going to go out of it for now because I don't want to add that one in right now. So if you just remember, the statuses are basically the labels that are on the outside of the filing system, because then you start putting tasks or folders into your filing system. So I have one called general to do, which is exactly what it sounds like. That's just a general to-do list for me. Now the next one up is a template, and once again, if you hover over it, you get these 3 little dots appear, and if you click on these 3 little dots, you have the option to duplicate. So if you click on duplicate, and then I'm going to name this like, I don't know, Sarah and Bob, and go duplicate, give it a second, and there we go. All of a sudden we have Sarah and Bob. Now I'm going to go into Sarah and Bob, and I'm going to change it because I don't want it to sit in the template, to leads. And now when I click out of there, all of a sudden I have a new drawer. right, which is leads, which has Sarah and Bob in it. Okay, so let's say Sarah and Bob decide to book with me. All you need to do is come in here and click in leads and click on onboarding, which means that we've moved it up now to the next drawer. Go out of there. Now all of a sudden you'll notice my leads drawer has disappeared, but that's fine. You can get it at any point in time, again, just by going back into it, and you can change your status here to whichever one it is. Basically, all these are is drawers. So if you want to take it out of onboarding and put it in final offboarding, you can do that, and voila, it's moved up to the final offboarding drawer. So just remember, each one of these tasks is like the little green folder that I was holding up before, right? So that's what you're going to put every single thing into. So I'm going to go into Sarah and Bob, and I'm just going to move them back to leads for now. So they're in the leads category. Now what's happened is that because I've created this template and copied it, I have some custom fields already pre-made down here. So within the custom fields, I've already put a couple in. So I've got the date of the wedding, the name of the bride, the name of the groom, and I've pinned all of these basically to put them at the top. And then of course we've got the bride getting ready, deposit received, final payment received, groom getting ready, location of reception, and location of the wedding. So to me, these are all kind of important pieces of information that if I just wanted to quickly go and find something out, I can find everything out here. Now there's something, I don't quite know exactly, but it's something about you're only allowed up to 100 custom fields in the free version. So if you can't use the custom fields and you've got like 20 clients, or you want to do things a little bit differently and you want to put in a lot more, basically you can still put the exact same information into here, which is your description box. So I've got like a few extra additional details to know, right? Time to location or between locations. What time do I need to leave home to get there with time to spare? Are there any roadworks happening? So this might be something that I check in a day or two before. What's the weather forecast? Sundown time for golden hour. And any colors I should or shouldn't wear as requested by the bride and groom. Because I know that sounds quite silly, but sometimes that's important to people. So that's why I've put it in there. Anyway, if you want to be able to change any of these, if you simply hover over them, you'll notice all of a sudden that you've got this edit option. It looks like a little pencil. And if we click in here and then go down to advanced settings, all of a sudden we have access to everything in here. So if you've done something wrong, you can pop in here and change it if you want to. And I'll just go out of it, cancel and X. And then, for instance, if there's something else that you've forgotten here, you can add another field. There's just a little plus button. And then you go create field, and you can have a really good look around here. You might want to have labels, some sort of number, like, so for instance, if you're dealing with a company and they have a purchase order number that's specific to hiring you, you may want to put in a purchase order number or something like that. So if you pop down here, you can see all sorts, location, money, number, people, phone numbers. There's so many different things here. So you could click on phone number and go phone number of bride. And then all of a sudden it pops up down at the bottom with this little icon, phone number of the bride. And then when you go to put it, it automatically knows that it's a phone number that it's expecting. So it's not a text area. It automatically decides, okay, this has got to have numbers. So if this sounds a little bit overwhelming, it's really not. Just think of it like these are the sorts of things that you would have on the front of a sheet when you're talking to your customer going, okay, what's your name? What's your phone number? What date is the wedding? So all of these things you would have written down elsewhere. This just helps you see them sort of really quickly. And let's say you put one in there and you don't need it, or you've got my template and you're like, actually, I don't need that. All you need to do is go into the little pencil icon, go into advanced settings. Now, because this one's automatically ticked, all of a sudden we're missing its little checkbox. So just go cancel. And then when you hover over it, no clicking, when you hover over it, there's a little box that comes up. And if you click on that, then you have one custom field selected that you can then delete. Are you sure? Yes, delete, and then the phone number's gone. So just understand that you actually have a lot of say over the fields that are in here and how you want to set this up. So we'll just go out of there. Okay, so as you can see, I've got these. Sometimes when you go into it, you might only see the top 3, and you have this little, like, you can show more if you want to. So again, just look out for those little hints. Under here, you can add start and due dates. So if you want to pop in here that the due date is going to be, I don't know, the 21st of January 2026, if you type it in, it'll give you the option to choose it. And then all of a sudden, you have a date in there. So then you can move on. Time estimate, you might want to go, okay, well, I want like 8 hours. So it's going to keep that. Under tags, you might choose to go wedding. Assignees isn't one unless you have a team, in which case you would be on a paid version anyway. Priority, you might be like, oh, I'm really behind on this, I need a bit of a kick in the bum, and so on and so forth. So in here, this is your description field. So if you want to add anything else, any notes, this is a great space to put in anything like the bride's mum and dad have been divorced for 20 years, don't get along, don't try and stick them in the same photo. So if you're doing branding or business photography, for example, you might need to put in something like ensure that all communication goes to both the receptionist and the CEO and the branding manager. So anything that you want to put in here, this is a completely clear space for you to pop those things in there. Now the beautiful thing about this is that you can have attachments, right? So you can go in and click, and let's say I'm going to upload a new file, and then I've just popped into one of my wedding clients. So let's say that we want to grab one of those pictures and we just go open. So for instance, now I have a photo. Now the cool thing is, again, if you hover over it, the 3 little dots pop up. And if you click on that, you can say use as cover image. And now all of a sudden, Sarah and Bob have a cover image. Obviously it works a little bit better if you have like a horizontal photo or something, but you get the picture. So you could also go in here, for example, into the upload file and add a copy of the contract. Anything that you have that has anything to do with them, their list of guests that you absolutely must photograph, or their list of groups that absolutely must be photographed. Everything like that can be attached into this one file. So just think of this, this is your big green file that you're now putting everything into. So we've uploaded everything that we need to, and we can keep uploading as we go. It doesn't have to be done all at once. You just go back into it, do the same thing. Now, if you go over into subtasks, I like to put in subtasks anything that has a specific date. So the first one might be send invoice to client 90 days out, right? And so then you would go into the little calendar here and set the due date. And if our wedding was on the 21st of the 1st next year, then that would be the 21st of the 10th, 2025, right? And now all of a sudden, this is actually going to pop up in your calendar, which is really, really useful. And you can then press save, and it's done. You now have a subtask. Again, your subtasks can actually go through the exact same thing. So you can click that that particular subtask is complete, and it just means that once you go back up and in and you go into your subtasks, you can see that it's already ticked off and it's done. So for me, I put in here when I need to send the final invoice, if I need to follow the final invoice up, check in 30 days beforehand to make sure that the payment has been made, and then maybe the date the week before to start making sure that I have everything ready. So for me, that's how I use this. I use it mainly as a date system so that these things pop up in my calendar. And then last but not least, I have been building out my action items. And right now I have 45 items in here. Again, this is the template that I'm going to be giving to you guys so that you can either keep it and use it, or you can keep it as like an example of what can be done. I have used all of these, if you can kind of see them in the background, right? Leads, and then I've got onboarding for the client, and then I've got before the wedding admin. So it means that each time I do this, I know what needs to happen before I move my file into the next drawer. So I have the checklist in here that is basically everything that I need to do from the first time they contact me right down to the last thing. So I will just leave you guys to have a look through it if you want to download it. I've got like before the wedding admin, week of the wedding admin, after the wedding, final offboarding, right down to mark project is complete in ClickUp. So if we go out of there, we're going to go back into being able to see our list. Now for those of you that are visual learners, up the top here we have list. You can view everything in your list. You can pop over to your board, which means that you can actually see all of your drawers and all of the files that are in them, right? So that's all of them there. So if you're a visual person and you want to put photos, the other thing is if you wanted to go into Canva and make your very own like labels, you absolutely could. And then if you want to see everything in the calendar, you just pop over to the calendar and then all of a sudden you have dates popping up. And one quick thing that I forgot, if you go back over to your list, let's say that we go into Sarah and Bob again. I don't trust technology. I've heard of too many times where things have been shut down, whether it's Google or Adobe, websites being wiped, etc., etc. So never, ever, ever rely on having things just on the computer. So you can actually go up the top once again to the three little dots and you can go down to print. So you have the option to print this out, and it doesn't look fantastic in portrait, but if you stick it in landscape, it tends to come out fairly well. And it's only going to come out with whichever page or whichever part of the page you're on. So for instance, you're not seeing the subtasks and you're not seeing the action items. But if you did have all of these details filled in, then you can really, really easily just print them out and chuck them into your physical folder as well. I always, always, always suggest having physical copies of everything in case your computer gets damaged or in case any of the programs that you're using decide not to work anymore. So, okay, last quick thing, I have a couple of technical notes that I wanted to share with you guys. One of the big problems is if I go into my calendar, I've got tons of stuff on, right? But right now I'm only seeing this. So what I normally do is I go up into my everything space, which comes stock standard. So I go up into my everything space, but you need to make sure that you have this turned on. If you go up to customize, you have a couple of things that you can toggle on and off. You can show the weekends, you can show the number of weeks, but the other thing that you really need to turn on over here is subtasks, which means that the dates that you have things set up in your subtasks, which is the little area that we had where we put in the extra dates like follow-up invoices and things like that. That's what you want to turn on, or they're not going to come up in your main everyday calendar. So just so you don't miss them, make sure you turn that feature on. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If you have any problems, do let me know in the comments, or do feel free to go to something like ChatGPT or Gemini and just go, look, I'm in ClickUp and I want to do this, and I'm not entirely sure how to do it. And it'll talk you through things really, really easily. There's also a ton of ClickUp tutorials that you can watch online, but today was meant to be just an entry level how to do some client management within ClickUp. So it's basically just like having a filing cabinet all organized, except you're doing it online. Next week, I'm going to be going behind the scenes with Pixieset, my client delivery gallery. So if you have any questions about Pixieset, let me know. And if you have any questions about ClickUp that I can help with, let me know. And don't forget that I'll be putting this template in the description below. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.